James Carter stepped off his ship with the measured excitement of a seasoned diplomat. Yet the vibrant chaos of the trading post took him by surprise. Aliens of various species mingled, shouted over one another, and bartered aggressively, their voices echoing under the massive dome of the market. As he navigated through the crowd, his handler, a human named Eric Dawson, joined him. Eric, a tall man with a cheerful demeanor, clapped him on the back. "Welcome to the edge of known space, James. It's quite something, isn't it?" Eric said, gesturing broadly. "It certainly is," James replied, adjusting his translator device. "Do you think the Zeltrani will be as welcoming as the crowd?" "They're curious folks, always eager to learn. You'll see soon enough at the ceremony. They're particularly excited to meet you," Eric said with a wink. They made their way to a quieter section where the welcome ceremony was to take place. A small stage had been set up, draped in vibrant cloths of cerulean and silver, the Zeltrani colors of hospitality and peace. As they approached, a figure detached itself from a group of aliens. She was slender, taller than the average human, with skin that shimmered like starlight. Her eyes were large and expressive, filled with an intelligent spark. She extended a hand which James took, noting the cool, smooth texture of her skin. "I am Zara, appointed liaison for our gatherings with humanity. We are honored, James Carter," she said, her voice melodic and echoing slightly through the translator. "The honor is mine, Zara. I'm here to learn and hopefully bridge our worlds a little closer," James responded, smiling. Zara nodded, her luminescent hair shifting colors softly. "Let us show you our ways then. Our people believe that true understanding begins with sharing." The ceremony started with traditional Zeltrani music, a complex harmony of sounds that seemed to vibrate through the very air. As the music played, Zara leaned closer to James. "Our music uses frequencies you might find unusual. It's meant to resonate not just with the ear but with the soul," she explained. James listened, intrigued by the depth of the sound. "It's beautiful," he admitted. "Different but enchanting." Zara smiled, pleased. "And now you will try our food. It's another form of connection." A variety of dishes were brought out, each more exotic than the last. James tasted each one, finding the flavors bold and sometimes shocking, but always interesting. Zara watched him, her eyes shining with amusement and curiosity. "What do you think?" she asked as he tried a particularly spicy morsel. "It's very vivid." James coughed slightly, reaching for his drink. "But good. I can see the care put into it." "As we hope to see the care you put into your work here," Zara said. The crowd had begun to disperse, moving off to continue their day at the trading post. James looked around, feeling the weight of his mission. "I intend to do just that. Maybe later you could show me around?" "Well, I would like that," Zara replied. "There is much to see, and I believe you will find our world as rich and complex as any dish we have offered you today." As they walked off the stage together, James felt a spark of anticipation. This post was more than a diplomatic assignment. It was a gateway to a universe of possibilities, and he was ready to explore each one. The next morning, James and Zara stood at the entrance of the academic hub, a sprawling complex dedicated to learning and the exchange of ideas. The air buzzed with the excitement of discovery, a stark contrast to the commercial fervor of the marketplace. James was scheduled to lead a seminar on human socio-political structures, a topic that seemed to have piqued of various species, judging by the diverse crowd filtering into the lecture hall. Eric, joining him once again, clapped him on the shoulder. "Ready to dazzle them with the complexities of human governance?" Eric asked, a playful smirk on his face. "I'll do my best," James replied, adjusting his notes, "though I suspect they might find our politics less advanced than their own." As they entered the hall, James was introduced by Zara, who had quickly become not just a liaison but a key facilitator for his sessions. "Ladies and gentlemen, beings of all origins, today we delve into the intricacies of human societal structures, presented by our esteemed guest, James Carter. Please, give him your attention," Zara announced, gesturing toward James. The room quieted as James began his presentation. He outlined the basics of democracy, the role of cultural values in shaping policy, and the impact of technology on governance. The audience listened intently, their faces an array of colors and expressions. After the seminar, a Zeltrani scholar approached James. "Your political systems are quite fascinating," he said. "You rely heavily on public opinion and individual rights. We Zeltrani have a more collective approach. I wonder, how do you manage the balance between individual freedoms and societal needs?" James was taken aback by the insightful question. "It's a constant challenge," he admitted. "Our history is marked by the struggle to find that balance. It's never perfect, but continuous dialogue and adaptation help." The scholar nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps there's much we can learn from each other. I'd like to invite you to a roundtable discussion with some of our thinkers. We could explore these ideas further." "I'd be honored," James replied, genuinely pleased by the offer. As the crowd dispersed, Eric and James moved on to their next event, a workshop on human art, which James had been particularly excited about. "This should be more relaxing," Eric commented as they set up various human artworks and digital reproductions. Zara joined them, her eyes immediately drawn to the images. "These are beautiful," she said, touching a digital frame lightly. "The emotions they evoke are palpable." James and Eric explained the contexts of the artworks, from classical pieces to modern expressions. They discussed the role of art in human history, how it reflected societal changes, and its use as a form of resistance and celebration. "Art is a window to the soul of a society," James said, noticing Zara's intense focus on a piece depicting a peaceful protest. "It shows what words often cannot." Zara was thoughtful. "There is a similar tradition among my people, though our expressions are often more abstract, connected to our sense of collective consciousness." As the workshop ended, they agreed to set up a similar session showcasing Zeltrani art, to allow a cultural exchange that seemed to be enriching for both sides. Walking back to their quarters, Eric nudged James. "Looks like your mission is more than just diplomacy. It's becoming a real cultural exchange." James smiled, feeling the weight of potential success. "I hope so. The more we understand each other, the better we can coexist. And I'm starting to see that there's much to understand and much to admire." As the sun set over the trading post, casting long shadows over the bustling crowds, James felt a surge of optimism. Here, far from home, he was perhaps on the verge of something truly significant. Zara guided James through the less frequented pathways of the trading post. The area was lush with vegetation, some native to Zeltrani worlds, others clearly imported from human territories. James was curious about everything he saw, asking numerous questions about the plants and their uses in Zeltrani culture. "I never realized how integrated your biotechnology is," James remarked as Zara showed him a plant that served both as a source of light and a natural air purifier. "Yes, we've learned to live in harmony with our environment," Zara explained. "Each plant here serves multiple purposes: aesthetic, practical, and ecological." Their walk led them to a small cafe tucked away behind a cascading water feature. It was a quiet, intimate place, perfect for deeper conversation. They chose a secluded table, ordering drinks from a Zeltrani server who greeted Zara warmly. "As a scholar, what's your main area of study, Zara?" James asked once they were alone. "I specialize in sociology, the study of alien societies," Zara replied. "Human cultures have been a significant part of my research lately. Your species has such a fascinating diversity, it's quite compelling." "That must be why you understand us so well," James said, smiling. "And here I am, struggling to keep up with just one alien culture." Zara laughed, a sound that James found remarkably comforting. "You're doing better than you think, James. I've observed many diplomats. Few adapt as quickly as you." Their conversation shifted from academic topics to more personal ones. James shared stories of his childhood on Earth, his family, and what led him to a career in interstellar diplomacy. "What about you, Zara? What's it like growing up Zeltrani?" James asked, genuinely interested. "It's different, I suppose. We're raised in communal settings. Much of our early education is about understanding our collective consciousness. Individuality is recognized, but always in the context of our community," Zara explained. James nodded, absorbing every word. "It's almost the opposite for us. Individuality is often the focus, sometimes at the expense of community." "Yes, I've noticed that," Zara said. "It's intriguing how we can be so different and yet find common ground." As the evening progressed, Their discussion deepened, touching on dreams and aspirations. James expressed his hope that his work would lead to a lasting peace and understanding between humans and Zeltrani. Zara's expression became thoughtful. And what if it does? What if you succeed? I haven't thought much beyond the mission, but I suppose I'd find a new challenge. Or perhaps teach. There's always more to do, more to learn, James mused. And you, Zara, what drives you? He asked, turning the question back to her. I want to bridge worlds, much like you, Zara replied. To show that despite our differences, there's a universal desire to connect, to belong. Their drinks long forgotten, they continued to talk, the cafe's ambient lights casting gentle shadows around them. It was a rare moment of peace and connection, far from the demands of their roles. Finally, as the hour grew late, Zara stood. Thank you, James. I haven't had such an engaging evening in a long time. Neither have I, James admitted. Let's do this again soon. Definitely, Zara agreed, her smile reflecting a shared sentiment of anticipation for their next meeting. As they parted ways, James felt a renewed sense of purpose. His mission was not just about treaties and agreements, it was about these moments of shared humanity, or, more aptly, shared sentience. Whatever challenges lay ahead, the friendships he was forming here would be his guiding light. The trading post was alive with the vibrant colors and sounds of the seasonal festival, a celebration shared by many species including the Zeltrani. James and Eric, accompanied by several human and alien colleagues, mingled with the crowd, enjoying the festivities. The air was thick with the aroma of exotic foods, and the sounds of laughter and music filled the space. As they moved through the crowd, James spotted Zara conversing animatedly with a group of her peers. He waved, catching her attention, and she excused herself to join them. James, Eric, you both look like you're enjoying the festival, Zara greeted them cheerfully. It's incredible, Eric replied. I've never seen anything like it. The music, the food, the dances, it's all so different from anything back home. James nodded in agreement. It's a fantastic celebration. It makes you appreciate the diversity we have out here. Zara smiled, pleased by their enthusiasm. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. There's a dance performance starting soon. You should see it. I'll cite. As they chatted, a Zeltrani male, Liraz, approached the group. His eyes were on Zara, and his expression was one of mild annoyance. Zara, you were supposed to join us for the planning session. We've been waiting, Liraz said, his tone slightly reproachful. I'm sorry, Liraz. I lost track of time, Zara apologized, her eyes flicking briefly to James before returning to Liraz. I'll be right there. As Zara and Liraz walked away, James's gaze followed them, a hint of confusion crossing his face. Eric noticed and nudged him. Don't worry, she'll catch up later, Eric said, trying to distract him. Come on, let's go watch that dance performance. James nodded, but his thoughts were elsewhere. He couldn't shake off a feeling of unease. The exchange between Zara and Liraz had seemed tense, more than what a simple delay would warrant. Later, as the festival continued, James tried to engage with the celebrations, but his mind kept drifting back to Zara and Liraz. When he finally saw her again, she was alone, watching a dance performance from the edge of the crowd. James approached her hesitantly. Zara, is everything okay? He asked, concerned. Zara turned to him, her expression unreadable for a moment before she managed to smile. Yes, everything is fine. Why do you ask? James shrugged, trying to sound casual. You seemed upset earlier with Liraz. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a problem. Oh, that, Zara said, her smile fading slightly. It was nothing, just a misunderstanding about schedules. Not entirely convinced but not wanting to press her, James changed the subject. This dance is quite something. Can you tell me more about it? Zara's mood lightened as she explained the cultural significance of the dance, the intricate movements, and the story it portrayed. James listened, but part of him remained troubled. As the night drew to a close, Eric and James walked back to their quarters. James was quiet, lost in thought, and Eric decided to broach the subject. You're worried about Zara, aren't you? Eric asked. James sighed. Yeah, I think I might have made a mistake. Maybe I misread the situation, the friendship. I don't know. Eric clapped him on the back. Give it time, James. Misunderstandings happen, especially when you're trying to bridge cultures as different as ours in the Zeltrani. Talk to her tomorrow. Clear the air. James nodded, hoping the unease would pass with a good night's sleep and a fresh start. But as he lay in bed that night, he couldn't help but feel that things between him and Zara had shifted, and he wasn't sure they could go back to the way they were before. The next morning, after a restless night, James decided it was crucial to address the unease between him and Zara. He approached her living quarters, rehearsing what he would say. His knock was answered promptly, and Zara's surprised face greeted him. "James, is everything okay?" she asked, stepping aside to let him enter. "I hope so," James replied, entering the neatly kept space. "I came to talk about last night. I felt like there might be some tension, and I don't want anything unresolved between us." Zara sighed, motioning for him to sit. "I appreciate your concern, James. I wasn't upset with you. It's just been complicated." "'Cause of Liraz?" James ventured cautiously. Zara nodded. "Yes, in a way. He misunderstood our friendship, thought there was more to it. It's not uncommon for Zeltrani to misinterpret close cross-species interactions." "I see," James said, feeling a mix of relief and embarrassment. "I didn't mean to complicate things for you." "It's not your fault," Zara reassured him. "These misunderstandings happen. What's important is how we handle them." James nodded, glad for the opportunity to clear the air. "So, where do we go from here?" "I think we should continue our work and friendship," Zara suggested. "We just need to be a bit more cautious about appearances, at least for a while." "Agreed," James said. "I value our collaboration too much to let it be jeopardized by misunderstandings." Zara smiled, her usual warmth returning. "Thank you, James. And since we're clearing the air, there's something else I'd like to address." "Oh?" James was intrigued. "You've been a great friend and ally here," Zara began. "I've learned a lot from you about humans, your culture, your personal ethics. It's made me reconsider many of my own views." James was touched. "That goes both ways, Zara. I've learned just as much from you, if not more." Zara chuckled. "Then our mission is indeed a success, no matter what happens." Their conversation drifted to lighter topics, and they spent the next few hours discussing various cultural nuances and sharing personal anecdotes. James felt a profound connection, one that transcended their professional roles. As the visit drew to a close, James stood to leave. "Thank you for today, Zara. It means a lot to me." "Likewise, James," Zara said, accompanying him to the door. "And remember, if there's ever any doubt or concern, talk to me. We can only solve problems we're aware of. "I will," James promised. "See you at the conference tomorrow?" "Wouldn't miss it," Zara confirmed with a nod. James left feeling lighter and more confident in their friendship. The day had started with uncertainty, but ended with a renewed sense of purpose and understanding. As he walked back to his own quarters, he realized how integral Zara had become not only to his work but to his personal growth during his time at the trading post. This connection, he thought, was what true diplomacy was about: building bridges, not just between worlds but between beings. After the successful resolution of their misunderstanding, James invited Zara to spend an evening at his residence to relax and enjoy a more informal cultural exchange. He had prepared a small dinner featuring dishes from Earth that he thought Zara might find intriguing. As Zara stepped into James's quarters, she looked around with an appreciative eye. "You've made it quite homey here," she remarked, noticing the small touches James had added to make the standard issue housing feel personal. "Thanks," James smiled, leading her to the dining area. "I figured we could use some comfort food and a less formal setting to continue our exchanges." The table was set with a variety of dishes, some Zeltrani favorites he had learned to prepare, and some classic Earth cuisine. Zara was visibly intrigued, especially by a plate of spaghetti carbonara. "This looks fascinating," Zara said, pointing to the carbonara. "What's in it?" "It's a simple dish: eggs, cheese, and cured meat, typically pancetta," James explained. "I hope you like it." They began their meal, and conversation flowed easily. They discussed their favorite foods from their homeworlds, the comfort foods of their childhoods, and the meals that reminded them of home. So as dinner progressed, James poured them each a glass of wine, raising his in a toast. To new experiences and deeper understandings, he said. Zara clinked her glass against his. To new experiences, she echoed. With dinner winding down, they moved to the living area, which had a more relaxed ambience. James had music playing softly in the background, a mix of human and Zeltrani tunes. Zara seemed more relaxed as well, her demeanor softer in the low light. "James, can I ask you something personal?" she ventured. "Told." "Of course," James replied, sensing the shift in her tone. "How do you manage loneliness here?" Zara asked. "Being so far from your home, your family?" James considered her question. "It's not easy," he admitted. "But I find focusing on my work helps, and making connections here, like ours, makes this place feel more like home." Zara nodded, her expression contemplative. "It does help, doesn't it? Forming bonds." "It does," James agreed. He took a moment, then decided to delve deeper. "Zara, I have been wondering what made you choose to work so closely with humans. You could have picked any species." Zara smiled, a soft chuckle escaping her. "I was curious about humans. Your emotions, your creativity, your capacity for deep connections. It's fascinating to me." James felt a warmth spread through him at her words. Encouraged, he moved a bit closer. "I'm glad you were curious," he said softly. Zara met his gaze, her eyes reflecting the soft light. "So am I," she whispered. Slowly, almost hesitantly, they leaned toward each other, their first kiss tentative, but charged with the emotions they had been quietly nurturing. As they pulled away, the air between them felt charged, full of potential. "Zara," James started, his voice low. "Yes," she responded, her voice equally soft. "This feels right," he said. "Does it feel right to you?" "It does," Zara confirmed, her hand reaching out to touch his face gently. They kissed again, this time with more confidence. James's hands found hers, their fingers intertwining as they explored this new intimacy between them. Kiss deepened, becoming a mutual exploration of feelings long held back. As the night deepened, so did their connection. They spent hours talking, kissing, and discovering each other's likes and dislikes. The touches and whispers building a bridge, not just between two people, but between two worlds. When Zara finally left, it was with a promise to return soon. James watched her go, feeling a profound sense of connection and anticipation for what the future might hold for them. This night had marked a significant turning point, not only in their personal lives but in their mission of cultural exchange. As word of James and Zara's burgeoning relationship spread through the trading post, reactions among both the human and Zeltrani communities were mixed. Some were intrigued by the interspecies relationship, seeing it as a fascinating evolution of cultural exchange, while others were skeptical or disapproving due to traditional views on maintaining species boundaries. A few days after their intimate evening, James found himself at a regular meeting with his fellow human diplomats, where the topic inevitably surfaced. As they sat around the large circular table in the conference room, Michael, one of the senior diplomats, broached the subject. "James, there's some talk about your association with Zara. You know this could be delicate, right?" Michael's tone was cautious, bordering on critical. James nodded, understanding the concerns. "I know it's unusual, but Zara and I respect each other's cultures and boundaries. We're both committed to ensuring our relationship doesn't interfere with our duties." Eric, who had been supportive from the start, chimed in. "I've seen them together, and it's nothing but positive. This could actually help bridge our understanding of the Zeltrani. Their insights into relationships could provide a deeper understanding of their social structures." "Perhaps, but it's risky," another diplomat, Linda, added. "Interspecies relationships aren't common for a reason. They can complicate diplomatic efforts." James listened to their concerns, acknowledging the validity of their points while also feeling a bit defensive. "I appreciate your concerns, but let's not forget the potential for positive outcomes. Understanding through personal relationships is a powerful tool in diplomacy." The meeting ended with an agreement to monitor the situation closely, ensuring that personal dynamics did not cloud professional judgments. Meanwhile, Zara faced her own set of challenges. She met with her mentors and peers in a similar setting, where the atmosphere was a mix of curiosity and disquiet. So one of her mentors, a venerable Zeltrani named Saren, addressed her gently. "Zara, Your relationship with James is raising eyebrows. It's unusual for us to form such bonds with humans. Zara, standing gracefully yet firm, responded, I understand the concerns, Saren. But James and I are exploring something that could lead to a greater understanding between our species. Isn't that the goal of our presence here? There's a fine line between personal exploration and professional responsibility, another mentor, Tivan, noted. You must be careful not to cross it. Zara assured her mentors of her professionalism. I am fully committed to my duties. Our personal relationship will not interfere with our professional roles. The discussions left both James and Zara contemplative about the complexities they faced. They met later that day at a quiet garden within the trading post, a neutral space where they could talk freely. Seems like we're both under a microscope, James said, offering a wry smile as they sat on a bench surrounded by bioluminescent plants. Zara sighed. Yes, it's been a day of tough conversations. But I still believe what we're doing is right. We just have to be careful and perhaps more transparent. James reached for her hand, his grip firm and supportive. We'll navigate this together. If we're open and honest with our intentions, I believe we can show everyone that our relationship enhances our understanding of each other's cultures. As they sat there, the fading light casting long shadows, they agreed to face the challenges together, maintaining their integrity and dedication to their roles. Their personal connection, they hoped, would serve to enrich their professional contributions, proving that deep interspecies relationships could pave the way for a new kind of diplomacy. Months had passed since James and Zara faced the scrutiny of their respective communities, and their relationship had not only endured but thrived. The controversy eventually waned as their peers observed the genuine affection and respect they had for one another, coupled with their unyielding professionalism. Today was a significant day, the opening of a new liaison office at the trading post, a direct result of the successful integration and cooperation between human and Zeltrani diplomats. James and Zara were chosen as co-directors, a testament to their pivotal role in fostering interspecies understanding. As they prepared for the inauguration ceremony, James checked the arrangements in the main hall. Do you think we've got enough seats? He asked Eric, who was helping set up the space. Looks like it, Eric replied, surveying the neatly arranged rows. Interest in this office has been off the charts. It's not every day you see something like this come to fruition. Zara joined them, her face bright with excitement. Everything looks wonderful. This office isn't just a new workspace. It's a symbol of what we've achieved together. James smiled at her, his pride evident. Thanks to your brilliant mediation skills and a bit of stubborn persistence on our part. The hall began to fill with guest diplomats, traders, scholars, and reporters from various species. As the ceremony began, James and Zara stood together at the podium, their presence a powerful statement of unity. Ladies and gentlemen, beings of all species, James began, his voice clear and confident. Today marks a new chapter in human-Zeltrani relations. This office is not just a facility, it's a bridge, a place where two cultures can meet halfway and learn from each other. Zara took over smoothly. We've faced many challenges on the road to understanding. Each obstacle was an opportunity to learn and grow. This office will serve as a conduit for that ongoing journey, providing resources and support for anyone wishing to contribute to our shared goals. The applause was warm and widespread, reflecting the support of the mixed audience. After the speeches, a small reception allowed for mingling and celebration. James found himself in a conversation with Tivan, one of Zara's mentors, who had been skeptical initially. I must admit, I was not sure what to expect from your partnership with Zara, but seeing what you two have accomplished together has been quite enlightening, Tivan conceded. I appreciate that, James replied, thankful for the acknowledgement. It's been an enlightening experience for me, too. Learning from Zara and your culture has changed the way I see the universe. As the reception continued, Eric leaned over to James, a grin spreading across his face. You know, this feels like the start of something big. Who would have thought that a diplomatic mission would turn into this? It's the people who make the mission, not just the objectives, James said, looking over at Zara, who was animatedly discussing potential projects with a group of young Zeltrani interns. And I couldn't have asked for a better partner. As the event wound down, James and Zara had a moment to themselves, reflecting on their journey. "We've done something significant, haven't we?" Zara asked, her voice a mix of awe and contentment. "We have," James agreed, taking her hand, "and will continue to do so, together." The final scene left them looking out over the trading post from the balcony of their new office, the bustling commerce below a backdrop to their quiet, shared victory. This new beginning was not just a success for them personally, but a beacon for interspecies cooperation, promising a future where understanding and collaboration were the norms rather than the exception.